Hello everyone. In this video, I will break down 4 fundamental categories of matter: elements, compounds, homogeneous mixtures, and heterogeneous mixtures. By the end of this video, you'll understand what they are, how they are different, and how to classify any substance you come across. Let's get started. So, let's begin with elements. So, what is an element? An element is the simplest form of matter. Simplest form of matter. And it cannot be broken down into anything simpler by chemical means. So it cannot be broken down into anything simpler. Anything simpler. So, what are some examples of elements? So, atoms, for example, they're made of one type of atoms. For example, hydrogen, oxygen, gold. These are all represented by symbols on the periodic table, and they cannot be broken down into anything simpler. The hydrogen is hydrogen, oxygen is oxygen, gold is gold, right? Each element has a unique property like its atomic number, which is the number of protons. So think of elements as the building blocks of all matter. Building blocks of all matter. So, that's pretty simple, right? Elements. Now, let's move on to compounds. So, what is a compound? Well, a compound is a substance made up of two or more elements. Chemically combined in a fixed ratio. So the important part is it is chemically combined in a fixed ratio. So we use two or more elements that are chemically combined. Elements is what we previously covered, and there's two or more of those elements, like hydrogen and oxygen, and they're combined chemically, and they always have a fixed ratio, meaning their ratio is the exact same everywhere. So, what are some key points about compounds? They have different properties than the elements they're made of. So compounds have different properties from the elements they are made of. So what does this mean? Water, H2O, is made of hydrogen and oxygen, right? Water, H2O, is made of hydrogen over here and oxygen over here, right? But it's a liquid, unlike its gas components. So, that means that this compound has different properties than these two elements, right? So let's take sodium chloride, for example. NaCl. So, it is table salt, right? Made of sodium, which is a reactive metal, and chlorine, a poisonous gas. So, chlorine, which is a poisonous gas, how could it be table salt? Because it has completely different properties than the original elements. So, compounds can only be broken down into elements through chemical reactions, not physical methods. So, can only be broken down by chemical reactions. So that's compounds. Still pretty easy, right? Now we'll go on to mixtures. So what are mixtures? They are physical combinations of two or more substances. Physical combinations of two or more substances. Now, the key here is that the substances in a mixture are not chemically combined. Substances are not chemically combined. So that is the difference between a mixture and a compound. They are not chemically combined. So they retain their individual properties. So there are two types of mixtures, homogeneous and heterogeneous. So let's talk about homogeneous mixtures. So a homogeneous mixture is uniform throughout. Uniform throughout. This means you can't see the individual components because they're evenly distributed. For example, salt water. It's a mixture of water and salt, but the salt dissolves evenly in the water. Another example, air. Something you see, well, you can't see, but something that you need to stay alive. A mixture of gases like nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide, but they're all spread in evenly, right? You can't see any separate gases, they're all mixed. And another example is alloys, like brass. It's a mix of copper and zinc, right? The key idea is that homogeneous mixtures are well mixed, which means you can't easily tell what's in them by just looking. You can't easily tell what's in them by just looking, right? So that's homogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous mixtures are, in my opinion, the easier one. They're pretty simple, right? So let's go on to heterogeneous mixtures. So, what are heterogeneous mixtures? A heterogeneous mixture is not uniform throughout. It's not uniform throughout. This essentially means you can see the different parts and they're not evenly mixed. For example, what's something that you eat when you're trying to go on a diet, right? A salad. You can see the lettuce, the tomatoes, the cucumbers. It's really evenly mixed, and it's very visible, right? So let's say on the beach, a warm sunny day, sand and water. The sand settles at the bottom instead of mixing completely. And now, maybe you don't want to be on a diet. You're taking a cheat day. Chocolate chip cookies. The chips and dough don't mix uniformly. You can see each chip and you can see the dough around it. So think of a heterogeneous mixture as unevenly mixed. Unevenly mixed. So, in conclusion, elements are pure substances made of one type of atom. Compounds are chemical combinations of elements. Homogeneous mixtures are evenly mixed and you can't see the individual components. And heterogeneous mixtures are unevenly mixed and you can see the different parts. Well, understanding these categories will help us clarify matter and make sense of it to make sense of the world around us. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.